Shutter priority, or time value as it's also known, is a semi-automatic mode on your camera which allows you to choose a shutter speed, and the camera will go away and find an aperture to work with it. Therefore the camera is automatically controlling the exposure whilst you control the shutter. You're saying the shutter is the most important thing in the whole wide world, and that's what I want to use. Now, shutter is predominantly an exposure control. The longer the shutter is open for, more light comes in. The less time the shutter is open, less light comes in. But you can also use them creatively, but it's all about motion. A slow shutter speed will blur motion and get a real dynamic feel of moving in it, and a fast shutter speed will freeze it, hold it solid. That's why I'm walking round and round in circles. Now, to demonstrate how the camera can freeze motion by using shutter priority, what I'm going to do is do a shot of my old skater mate Lawrence coming past this graffiti behind me. But first we've got to set up the camera. So we're in shutter priority mode already. I want a fast shutter speed to freeze Lawrence and the background as he comes past it. So I'm going to use a 500th of a second. That is a pretty fast shutter speed, which should be plenty to freeze something like a skateboarder. So I set the 500, just look through the viewfinder where you're going to be shooting to make sure the exposure is okay, and straight away I can see it says low in the aperture side of the display. The reason for this is at a 500th of a second in rather dull light like this, the camera can't find a big enough aperture to make that shutter speed work. Now, when you're in shutter priority mode, you also have control over your white balance and your ISO. Now, nothing on a camera works in isolation. If you tweak one thing, you've usually got to tweak something else. I'm going to tweak the ISO, because if I make the sensor more sensitive, it will scoop up more light and it will allow the camera to find an aperture to work with. If you're not sure about ISOs, you need to watch the ISO film. So press the ISO button, let's rack that up. I'm going to go to 1000 ISO, so it's a much more sensitive sensor. If I point it at the wall over there, yeah, I'm getting between f7 and f8 now. The camera now has the ability to choose an aperture to work with the shutter speed I've chosen. Let's see if we can get a shot of Lawrence coming down the path now. Lawrence, go for it. Yeah, that's really cool. All you have to do is put your focusing gun sight on Lawrence in continuous mode and hold it there as he comes past. I'm panning the camera so everything's on the move, but as you can see, the shot of Lawrence, he's beautifully frozen against the background. With this shot, what I want to do is to get Lawrence fairly sharp against the background as he skateboards through, but I want the background to blur. To do that, I'm going to set a slow shutter speed, or slowish, and I'm going to move the camera with Lawrence as he comes through. Now, if you try this technique yourself and get it wrong, don't lose heart. It really is quite tricky and you have to do it many, many times to get it right. Outside of Filmland, we actually did this about 20 times before I actually got the right shot. And because I've already done it, I know which shutter speed I need. I find that at a 50th of a second with Lawrence going through, I get the result I want. So, set up the camera, shutter priority. I'm going to set a 50th of a second onto the camera. Now the camera is straight away setting the aperture for me. Again, look where the shot's going to be, it's over there. Now I'm getting a high reading this time. So I'm going to lower my ISO, okay, because the ISO is now at 1000 from the last shot. It's really, really sensitive. It's not letting the camera find a small enough aperture for me to use the slow shutter speed. Shutters open a long time, lots of light comes in. So, change the ISO. Let's take that all the way back down. I'm going to go to about 200, 250 maybe. Let's have a look. 250th of a second, sorry, at ISO 250, it gives me f16 aperture. The camera can find an aperture. Just kind of like go and watch the aperture films and the ISO films if you haven't quite got your head around that bit. We're now set up. I know what's going on. Lawrence, go for it. I'm going to pan with Lawrence as he comes through the shot now. Start shooting as he goes through. There we go. Yeah, bingo, look. We've got a nice blurred background and Lawrence is pretty sharp. I've gone with Lawrence, so my movement is with Lawrence, but the blurred background is going on. Suppose you want to shoot the classic waterfall shot, it's the same thing. You'd only, instead of moving the camera, you'd lock it on the tripod. You could use shutter priority to set a slow shutter speed. Now the waterfall shot, generally speaking, needs about a half a second exposure. That's a very long exposure, and you may need to start adding neutral density filters. I'm not talking about that in this one. Hopefully that has explained shutter priority to you, where you can use it and how to set it.